Good morning, fig and fruit enthusiasts. Cajun Chuck here, and today we're going to be taking a look at some of our air layers we started earlier in the season and whether or not it's time, because temperatures are starting to drop. So the air layers I'm going to be looking at today are off of this one right here. This is a Cessac. This is one of the ones I picked up from Dan Foster earlier in the season. This main shoot has been doing extremely well, and there was a side shoot that I decided to air layer to have a clone. This second one over here, this one was from Fruit Nut, this Cessac. And as you can see, this thing has not stopped growing. It is well over almost 6.5 feet tall from the base of the soil here. And it is doing great. This is a very thick little stalk here, and it's already starting to throw some side shoots off from where I girdled it earlier in the summer. So we're gonna expose this, take a look at it, and see what we have. So these are the two Cessacs I'm gonna be working with. So this is the first one we're gonna look at, the smaller of the two cuttings. This is the Cessac. Got this one earlier, and one side took off really well. This was a smaller side that I was going to cut off. However, look at that spider web. Let's get out of there, little spider. Look, he's right there. Sorry, buddy. Just gonna move you over to another tree. So, relocated him. I've already sterilized my cutters. Yeah, the crows see me doing stuff. I feed them. They're my pets. They come around closer and they see me doing stuff and they don't know what it is, and they start causing a ruckus. That's fine. So we're going to take these little, snip these little things off here. These are just the little zip ties that are used to hold them in place. A lot of people don't like these, and, you know, understandably so. They are kind of restricting as far as limitations of the soil that you can get out, the moisture it sometimes gets out, but, you know, go ahead and see what it looks like. All right, so as you can see, there's decent root development. It's called Mycos from Extreme Gardening. And there's a couple different types of this. This is the Mycorrhizae inoculant that I add to a lot of my rooted cuttings when I'm uppotting them. There's also, this is the granular. There's also a powder form, and you can take that powder form and mix it with any kind of like sterile rainwater. I usually use rainwater, and then drip it in there, and it just creates that perfect growing environment for the roots. So this looks good. We're gonna go ahead and take it off. I'm gonna close this back up. And like I said, I've already sterilized my clippers. You can use peroxide alcohol. You can even use a blowtorch, you know, just to heat it up. Make sure you don't put the hot metal onto your tree. So I'm gonna get a little bit higher up. I'm gonna take this back off actually. I don't want to knock the other side. The other side feels a little tight, so I just want to be able to visualize where I'm going to cut. Let's take this little metal tag off, and we'll replace that after we get this. So I'm going to come down right at an angle on this cut right here, just like that. And now I'm going to uppot this. Now, before I get along to the cutting, the air layer, excuse me, that I've taken, what I'm going to do is, this is some of the stuff. This is what I've used in the past with cuttings. Some people would just let this air dry, but as you can see, when you have an open wound right here, this is a site for infection, especially this. And this is a straight line right into the base of your trunk and into the roots. So I'm going to place some of this. This is used with bonsais, and it's really good stuff. Just take that. I usually just get a little bit on my finger and just apply it straight to that. Yes, this could be a little excessive, but that's okay. Just take that and coat the fresh cutting, the fresh wound. I want it to be a little thick. I'm going to catch the edges. Also around the back. Let's check the back. Hey, and look down here. You see right here? This tree, whenever you score it or whenever you do air layers, it thinks it's distressed, right? So it's going to want to optimize its growing. So it's like, hey man, we have something going on over here. Let's put out as much green growth as possible, because we're injured somewheres and we want to grow and get as much light as we can. And thankfully enough, figs are pretty forgiving and they're pretty resilient. However, things can happen. I just lost one of my trees last year. I did cut, and the cut was right at this angle, and like I said, it just killed off the tree. It tried to bounce back, but I don't know, because I did use a different tree wound dressing on it, and I think I got away from that, and I'm sticking more with my, again, this is a little bit more expensive, but I mean, when you have trees that are, you know, $150, $200 for a tree, you want to protect it. It's an investment, not just for your trees and your fruits and everything else, but you don't want to just waste money by it dying the next season. This time that's invested, this money that's invested. So that being said, protect the existing tree. So, good girl. I'm going to put this off to the side. Now, historically, when dealing with my air layers and cuttings, I'd be very restrictive in uppotting. So typically I would put it into, you know, a standard, one of the standard 3x9, 3x7s or 4x9 growing pots that we're all used to seeing in the fig community, the fig world. However, Antonio, the fig father, has told me that I need to be more aggressive. And if you've seen his plants, I mean, I'm not going to argue with him. The man knows his stuff. He is basically a growing wizard. So I'm going to be more aggressive. Typically I would go to this, and I'm definitely going to go into a larger pot size, as you can see. So for a small plant, it's going to have a lot of space to grow. However, encouraging that root growth right now, I'm going to put as much energy while we still have some warm days left to the end of this summer. You can see. Great root ball. So I want to encourage all of this to spread out as much as I can in there. And this will be a little bit easier to stack in my basement whenever I'm putting these to sleep than this. These are flimsy. They're great, don't get me wrong, but this is a landscaping. It's rigid, and it's, you know, like I said, it's contractor grade, so it's tough. So what I'm going to do is find a good spot for it. I'm not going to fill it all the way up to the top because I want it to grow. I'm going to keep it, the soil, as Homer had said, Homer from Fig Talk, you'll probably know him as Basement Figs, his previous existing name. The guy has amazing trees. So I'm going to go by his recommendations. You can get a bigger pot. You don't have to fill it up all the way. So we're not going to fill it up all the way, but we are going to get it right above that line. So I'm going to be putting soil up to here where it can just gently rest. So I have different tubs, different tiers of soil mixtures. I have like a stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Stage 1 is usually going to be like my Pro Mix HP or BX. That's that high porosity. Some of them have the little fungicidal. I tend to have issues with that every once in a while. I'm sure everybody sees those little fungus gnats, and they are a pest. So I do have a combination. This is my stage 2. So I'm going to be uppotting that, but I'm adding some extra amendments to the soil. I'm going to show you that right now. Job's organic fruit and nut granular plant food. This is going to be one of the things that I add to the pre-existing soil. Of course, I'm going to add some more mycos in there around the root because I want to encourage all the soil, the media that I'm going to be using around it to optimize that area. And I have pumice. Pumice, I have different sizes. I have 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch pumice stone. So what I do is I take my media, I mix this really well, all of these ingredients, well, this is going to be last, but all of these ingredients to set up to try and optimize the soil, what I'm going to use to get the best growth, the best development that I can from this little beautiful thing right here. All right, so let's start filling up the pot. This will be the final amendment that I add to our media. Worm castings. I do have some organic matter that's in here. I didn't mention it earlier, but I do have some already in here, but I'm gonna add a little bit extra and then just top the soil with it. So if you've seen some of my earlier videos, these little deli cups, man, they come in handy. This is 32. I usually do equal parts when I'm adding stuff, so I'm gonna go ahead and add this in and then continue mixing. This is the mixing pot. My soil pot, where we're gonna find the forever home for this season for the Cessac, is over there. Now I'm going to add my fruit and nut granular plant food. The line in the middle is the half. This is a 1 cup measuring spoon, so get that in there. And now we're going to start mixing it up. All right, now to go back and forth. I have 2 of these, so I'm just going back and forth to really mix your soil, your amendments well. So I got everything mixed pretty well. We're going to take a look at the soil. So as you can see, there's a good bit. I have small perlite in here. I have large perlite. There's going to be some organic matter. Very light, not stuff that's going to get really bogged down or watered down. You can see more pumice in here, some rocks. I do have some activated charcoal in here as well. You can see it. Sometimes when you're going through it, you'll find little chunks of it. So all of these things will help optimize the beneficial bacteria in the soil. You definitely want, if you see the little white fuzzy stuff on the surface or little mushrooms growing, you know that your plant's going to be healthy. You know that it's going to be, the soil is going to be alive, living. So back to our main pot. This is going to be our main pot we use. All right, a little more. And let's see where it sits in here. Well, a little bit more. So you can see. There's some activated charcoal in here and here. Like I said. Take another little look. That looks just about right where we want it. So as you can see, it sits there nice and pretty. I will probably, depending on how the tree responds, I will get the powder form and water with this so the leaves aren't as droopy, to try and, you know, it's like kind of like a transplant shock. You want to keep it out of the direct sun. You want to keep it in a partially shaded, or a highly shaded area, but still gets a lot of bright indirect light, to keep those creative juices flowing in the plant. And we're going to continue adding the soil until we get where we like it. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this in the center. Get a fair amount in there, and then spread it out on both sides. Make sure you center your tree the best you can, and you want it facing basically straight up, as vertical as you can make it. And you know, if it grows at a curve or an angle or slant, it's okay. You could always change the position or shape in it later on. Maybe a little bit more. Oh, you know what? As many times as you up-pot plants and everything else, sometimes you forget to add those special ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little donut shape around our beautiful little air layer here. And we're going to add our mycos. So I use one big capful. I am not stingy with this stuff. I go ahead and make sure it's all around the plant itself. And then just kind of just pinches, just little bitty pinches in the soil. And then bring some in, pinch it. Bring some in and just kind of massage around the root ball. There you go. It feels good, right? Love getting my hands in the soil. Good stuff. Very nice. This is looking pretty good. I am happy with this. So we have at least a solid 3 inches from the base of the soil line to the top of the container. So as this continues to grow, you know, these leaves will eventually fall off after this shoots up again. and we'll be able to add some more. We'll add more amendments to it. We'll put some more worm castings on it with more organic matter. We can top dress with various things also. Lime is another one, so dolomite lime, something that's going to be safe for plants. That's really good, especially if you have a drip irrigation system. It's going to kind of force all of those nutrients, those minerals, the things that the plants love, that optimizes that transfer from the roots to the, to the upper leaves and stalks and the fruit later on. You want that just, peak. So finishing off, when I made this air layer, I made an extra tag when I did the, when I labeled the mother plant. So I knew I was gonna air layer this, and I made a second one. So this one goes, so I keep track of all my stuff. This one goes onto the plant. You can drill little bitty holes on the side and put it in the pot itself. I tend to put it right around the plant, just gently, a couple little twists, and it sits right there. When I'm doing the air layer, I air layer the second piece just in case, and then what I'll do is also keep this. You can put this through little slots that you have on your pots, or you can put it back on the plant. So I'm gonna double it up. Double protection. And I'm gonna mark a number on the pot, and well, with a little piece of tape, and I'm going to put that in my journal. I have an actual written journal too, so there's going to be hopefully no confusing exactly what plant I had, from whom I received it, the time that I received it, when I uppotted it. So now that all of that is done, I'm going to give it a nice healthy drink of water and place it in my shaded area. Here's my rain barrel. And just go ahead, give it a good solid drink and soak it up just a little bit, and I'm gonna stop. And then I'm gonna mix my mycose, my powdered mycose, and then feed with that. So I'm gonna let this soil reconstitute with the increase that osmotic pressure in there. The hydrostatic pressure is reduced. And then when I add my actual additives to it, it's going to hit right on that perfect area and soak it up. So it's going to get it perfect. And just like that, one air layer is done. So over here, he's just hopping around waiting for me. I guess we got a delivery. Always ordering stuff off Amazon. Guys, whatever can this be? So as I was saying, I hope you found this little air layering tutorial, or demonstration should I say, helpful. You don't have to do everything perfect. You'll figure it out along the way, but it's always nice to have a little guidance. So I hope that I helped in some way. Enjoy the wonderful day. Find your own happiness and create your own happiness. And fig on.